But for now, we have a man who's shining a light on democracy in the north of England, in Manchester, Nick Buckley, MBE. And I want to talk with you, Nick, about your views on cycle lanes and transport generally. There are those, including me, who share the opinion that a war has been declared on the motorist. Where do you stand on that?
Oh, absolutely. And this war was declared, what, 2, 3 decades ago? It's a constant attack. It's high insurance premiums, it's the tax on diesel and petrol, it's ULEZ, it's clean air zones, it's low traffic neighborhoods, it's taxing bigger cars more than little cars, it's demonizing drivers. It just never ever stops.
And is that because, as a driver, they've got you over a barrel? If you have to make a particular journey, you're going to make the journey, even if it's expensive. Or is there some other reason? Why are they picking on drivers?
I think several reasons. The first reason is that every car has a registration plate. So the authorities know who is driving that car, or at least who owns that car. And it's easy to then rob more taxes out of that person because we've got your car registration. So they're an easy target because of that. But the main reason is lots of politicians I think have bought into this eco-green agenda where the
Mhm.
planet's dying, humanity is a disease, we're causing climate change. Global boiling was something that came out last year. Um, and because they haven't got answers to any of our serious problems, such as poverty, such as homelessness, such as kids stabbing each other to death, they then decide, well, this nebulous of a problem called climate change that no one can prove exists and no one can prove is man-made and we can never fix, that's a problem that I could pretend to do something about with no expectation of curing it, of ending it, of improving it, but at least I look like I care about humanity and saving the planet. It's just a distraction technique for failing politicians.
The inference from what you say is that you don't think that there's a climate emergency caused by humans.
Absolutely. I mean, so let me get this straight before I'm accused of being a lunatic. Of course, the climate is changing. The climate has changed every day of my life and every day the planet's existed. The climate is always changing. I believe all this change is natural cycles of the planet. This has got nothing to do with the activities of man. We're not that important on this planet. To think we could change the planet, the ecosystem, anything like that whatsoever.
There are those who would argue that human beings are wrecking the climate. Little Greta Thunberg up there in Sweden, for example, who famously said to the United Nations, "How dare you?" Anthony Gutierrez, you rightly pointed out, he said we have entered the era of global boiling.
Mm.
Why, if you're right about this, and we'll come to the transport thing in a minute, I'm interested in what you said about climate for now. Why, if you're right, do so many people think you're wrong?
Because it's turned into a religion. People need to believe in something, and we don't believe in the West now. We don't believe in religion anymore now. Christianity is dying. So, as a tribal creature, we follow the tribal leader. And because the tribal leader in ancient times wasn't big enough and powerful enough, we started creating gods. And this ideology has become a god. It's become a way of showing people you're a good person. I'm so good. I want to save the world. That's better than Jesus. Jesus just wanted to save humanity. I want to save the world.
um, One of the things that really surprises me is how few people realize that carbon dioxide represents 0.04% of the atmosphere. It's a trace gas. I asked some clever people yesterday here in Dallas what percentage of the atmosphere was CO2, and they guessed 38%. It may have been 95% 3, 4 billion years ago, but it's not now. Yet
And people don't
it's
understand that CO2 is actually basically plant food. If it wasn't for CO2, there'd be no plants on Earth. The fact CO2 has increased, which it has, but the fact it's increased a tiny, tiny bit, means the planet's becoming greener. We have deserts now that are becoming greener because there's more CO2 in the atmosphere. This isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I think CO2 is our friend. I have to say that my worry is if you get to something called 150 parts per million. We've got 420 parts per million. If you get to 150, plants suffocate. They don't have enough CO2. They breathe CO2 like we breathe oxygen. And if it goes below that level, then we've got a problem because we've got nothing to eat. That can't happen anytime soon. But it does befuddle me where otherwise intelligent, sane people believe that there's some climate crisis. We just can't get away from it at the moment. But
If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.